Hey everybody, I'm Amy Anamkara and welcome to my porch. So I'm just getting my space ready. You can see over here. I'm just getting my space ready to do my first in-person interview here today. So it's going to be with Michelle Pellin. So let's get started.
I like your glasses.
Thank you. All right, so like I said, we were going to have a guest today, and it is Michelle Pellin.
Hello.
Good morning, or good afternoon. I don't even know what it is right now.
Good evening.
Yeah, wherever you are. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Michelle. So Michelle is a holistic therapist, an evidential medium, and a writer of a best-selling book. So you think you've had a spiritual awakening. Now what? She is an active member of SHON, an acronym for Spirit Healers of New England, a collection of healers that assists spirits to pass from this dimension into the light. Michelle offers several spiritual services that include intuitive tarot card readings, mediumship readings, ghost work and rescue mediumship, mini astrology charts, and custom spell work. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you.
So
Glad to be here.
Yeah, so this is actually the second time I've spoken to Michelle. We had a nice interview on Zoom, but I don't know what happened to it. So we're doing it here in person. So it's super exciting to have you here.
Absolutely.
So what do you want to talk about, Michelle?
I don't know. Where do you want me to start?
All right. So I'm just going to go back to your bio.
Sure.
So I'm curious, and we didn't even talk about this at the last interview, is that you're a holistic therapist.
Yes. Holistic psychotherapist. Yes.
Okay. So do you have you have a degree?
I do. I have 2 master's degrees.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
And so how did you kind of parlay into the holistic piece?
So that happened when I was working at a holistic center. I seemed to naturally try to merge the worlds, and it seemed that people were coming to me more and more that were spiritual because I was at a holistic healing center. So it seemed to work out that I would make that switch. I actually used to identify as a Christian therapist, so I did that for a little while, but I found that I was more comfortable in the holistic context because I wanted to heal, help heal. I'm not doing the healing, they're doing the healing. Help spiritually people get into a better place with different modalities. And also, a lot of people will come to me and say something usually at the 3rd session. Well, you're not going to believe, you're going to think I'm crazy, and I'm there to validate. I mean, yes, are there people there with real psychosis? Sure. But most people who see things that are out of the ordinary are not crazy. So I like to give them that validation that, hey, you're not crazy. So they come to me because they're either in the beginning of an awakening, or they're having an awakening, or they think what I do is interesting and they want to learn more, and or they just want validation that they are experiencing these things and they're not going crazy. I mean, that's why I wrote my book, because I think a lot of people do think they're going crazy, including myself. I mean, I've had 2 awakenings now. The first one was messy, and it does challenge you. So you need that individual to say, or individuals, tribe would be better, to say, hey, you're not going crazy. This is something real.
Yeah, so holistic is kind of like this very broad term, but it sounds like you specialize in spiritual awakenings. Is that correct?
I guess I never thought about it, but
because like holistic is like, you know, like when I think of holistic, I think of things like, you know, like Reiki and
Right. So
aromatherapy and like that kind of stuff.
So obviously, I'm not going to do aromatherapy on telehealth, but I may say to somebody, "Hey, have you thought about using your essential oils? And here's how you can use them."
Okay.
Or with Reiki, I'm a Reiki master, so I may say, "Hey, have you thought about going to see a Reiki practitioner? Or have you thought about doing a sound healing?"
Ooh, nice.
So I may suggest those kind of things, and that's what makes me more holistic too. I'm thinking out of the box. I do have conventional therapies that I use, as CBT, DBT, all the alphabet soup.
Yep.
But I'm also telling people to go touch a tree and feel the energy, and take a walk and listen to all the birds and see if you can pick them out. And so I'm incorporating different worlds together.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Because there is a lot of therapies out there. I mean, I'm big on reframing, and that's part of CBT. So I don't poo-poo all that. I incorporate what I know. However, most of the therapies that are approved by the American Psychological Association that I provide, with the exception of CBT and DBT, are somewhat spiritually based. So, for example, accelerated resolution therapy is something that I'm, and yes, terrific therapy. The woman that created it, Lainey Rosenthal in West Hartford.
I know Lainey.
You do? Okay. So I got to meet her as well when I did the training a few years ago. And she's spiritual. So there's that. I didn't know that when I first took it, by the way. And then Richard Schwartz, who does internal family systems therapy, I did a training with him. I
feel like I know him too.
You probably do. You know everybody. He and his wife do internal family system therapy conferences at Kripalu, which is in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. Great center. And so a colleague and I took that training, and lo and behold, he's spiritual. So did I know that at the time? I mean, I guess it makes sense because he went to Kripalu and trained, but it's just like, all these things kind of followed me. And that work is really based a lot on inner child work. Some people like to make it relate to what is it called, soul retrieval. And I'm not shamanic. I don't consider myself a shamanic practitioner. Some people do, but that's what I've heard from people that are shamanic practitioners, that technique is very much like soul retrieval. So some of the things I'm doing are spiritually based, but they're also approved by the American Psychological Association. I mean,
whether they say it or not, right?
Well, they don't advertise that, right? So let's put it this way. If you get to level 3 in IFS training, you're talking about dark energy. So, wow. So I think that the good news there is that more and more and more helpers, therapists, practitioners are starting to recognize the benefit of spirituality.
I agree. So, and so you doing all of this work, you decided, I think I'm ready to write a book.
Yeah, that was
like, how do you even? That's big.
I don't know. It was kind of pushed on me with my guide. You got to write a book. So I thought it would be a good idea because I was so surrounded by so much love in my journey when I had my awakening by fabulous practitioners, but not everybody has that. This is not only a guide for feeling not alone, but it's also helpful if you don't know where to begin. Okay, well, that's great. I've had this awakening. Now what do I do? So it also provides you with a lot of tools and things that you could tap into with your intuition and mediumship and all sorts of fun activities in the book. So, or it could just be a fun read, to validate your experience. It's a very short book. It's just really meant to say, hey, you're not alone.
Did you bring your book with you?
It's in my trunk.
Okay. I should have mentioned that. Oh well, it's okay. I'll put it up. Don't worry, I'll put it up in the video. It's all good. So, what do you find is a big hurdle when you're going through a spiritual awakening?
Family.
Yes, for sure. Right?
They don't mean to be challenging, or at least most of them don't mean to be. I think it's more that they're so used to what they've been taught that even the unhealthy way is comfortable. It's like an old slipper. So I'll tell you a funny story. So during the pandemic, I was wearing slippers like everybody else all day, all night. And one of my pair of slippers that I paid a lot of money for had a big hole in the bottom. And my husband goes, "Why is there a big hole in the bottom of your slippers?" I said, "I don't know. They're comfortable. Who cares? I'm not going anywhere." He goes, "Get yourself another pair of slippers. We have the money for Well, I don't want to. So the point of that story is that sometimes we get uncomfortable with things that are just not good for us.
Right. Right.
And that was pointed out in that moment.
Yeah, and when you're going through a spiritual awakening, I mean, you're questioning the way things have always been for you, and then you're trying on new roles like you did, as an adolescent. You might be dressing different or listening to different kind of music or all those kind of things. And just like you said, your family or the people that you kind of leaned on to support you they don't recognize you.
Right.
And that's difficult.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't have the rejection that some people, I've heard some horrible stories from people about, especially spouses. My spouse supports me in what I do. He doesn't understand it, but he doesn't really have to. But horrible stories about spouses that just call their partners names and make fun of them and what are you doing? And it's really horrible. I mean, people should be who they're supposed to be. And how does that affect you if they're doing XYZ? So yeah, so
that's all fear-based.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely, it's fear-based. Yeah, and that's why a lot of witches don't come out of the broom closet because they're afraid of judgment.
Right. Speaking of witches, Michelle is actually a practicing witch.
Yes.
When did you start that journey?
Oh, when I was little. I was fascinated with the whole thing, probably from a past life. But every Halloween I would dress up as a witch, except one year when I was Casper, the friendly ghost. Surprise! And
thought you changed it up a little bit.
Well, yeah, because I was into ghosts too, and still am. So that went away after high school and so forth. I started to become more secular, if you will, not really into the woo woo. And so college, kids, marriage, all that stuff happened. And then it didn't really come back until a few years ago. And I started talking to a friend of ours who is part of the Spirit Healers of New England group, the Ghost group. And she offered a year and a day training. And so my friend and I took it. Life got crazy for her. We switched to another lovely person in Vermont, Stacy, who is absolutely fabulous witch, and did the year and a day for us. We had a blast. And then we felt like we wanted more. So we did another one with Nikki Sleeth in Canton. And that led to being part of a coven, and it's been a fabulous journey. Just such supportive people, wonderful, magical, practicing. We don't care what each other believes, like politically or any of that. We just practice magic together. We're not driven by, I know some covens are, we're not like that at all. So it's a very supportive, loving community.
So a coven is a community.
Mm-hmm.
A coven is a community that uh, practices together?
Right.
Okay.
Practices magic together. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And they also celebrate,
Mm-hmm.
right? Different
The
holidays.
moon cycles and the holidays. Correct.
Okay.
Yep. The
Okay.
pagan cycle, basically.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think people have a misconception, right, of what covens are, right? They think that it's,
Yes.
Women dancing around a fire naked. Is that true, Michelle?
We dance around a fire. We are not naked. We are fully clothed. We are in somebody's backyard, and it's wonderful. It's absolute, and it's not just women. We have men in the coven who are unbelievably wonderful men, strong men, and so yeah. Are there covens that dance naked? Probably, yeah. There probably are.
Right.
I'm not going to say that's like a complete,
else. Mm-hmm.
but most don't, as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so how did you find this particular coven? It was associated with your friend.
I think I found her, I think Facebook actually led me to her. Things just happen to me.
Right.
One thing leads to another, and when the timing is right, things are presented to me, and this was one of those moments that she just came out of nowhere on my feed.
Right.
And she's, hey, we're looking for a new cohort kind of thing. Why don't you try it? And so we did.
Right. And so when you talk about like practicing magic, is there like a theme of what you're going to practice that evening?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's
what
either a full moon would be a theme, or summer solstice would be a theme.
Okay.
Maypole, doing something with May Day, Beltane would be a theme.
Yep.
So yeah, those are usually the themes, either a holiday or a moon.
Okay. Now we just had a full moon.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you celebrate, you personally, how did you celebrate it as a witch?
I was on the Zoom call. We had rain that day.
Oh,
so
right.
I couldn't make it, unfortunately. So we do it as a coven on Zoom.
Okay.
And
see, witches Zoom. They can Zoom.
Yeah, of course we do.
They can Zoom, not just on their broom.
I don't have a broom except to sweep my floor.
You don't have a broom?
No.
I would figure you would go to like one of those workshops where you can make your own broom. That would be fun.
Could just make mine.
I guess so.
Yeah. Brooms they were made to sweep the energy.
Yes.
We can sweep our energy anyway, but they're made to sweep the energy out the door. People would use them to clear their houses.
Right.
And so people use thieves, is it?
Yes.
The essential oils to do that. So you're basically, when you clear your energy, that's what a broom was supposed to be for.
Right.
Not, we're flying on and the flying thing came, as far as I know, because sometimes women would use like fancy ointments to fly or get high.
Oh, I see.
Right. But I don't know anybody who does that. I'm sure there's people who do that.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah, it's not literally flying in the sky.
So tell me about your training. So you said it's a year and a day, and I know that that's typical of beginner witchcraft. That's what they call them. It's a year and a day training.
Right.
So what does that entail?
Just various topics, things that you probably know a lot about. Like one time we were talking about pendulums, and another time we're talking about tarot cards, and another time we're talking about auras, and another time we're talking about spirits, and so it's all different topics.
It sounds like I'm a witch. I know I am. And you know what? My family knows that I am. So, and they're supportive, but I don't go into a lot of detail. I think that they sort of think that it's, I don't want to say kooky, but it's like, that's mom. Like, mom's in there doing her tarot cards, kind of a thing.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
But it's not something that that's not true. I mean, I'm pretty out there now, like with the things that I do. But in the beginning, it was I was very cautious, and I don't know if if you can speak to that yourself, about really putting yourself out there, because you're pretty new, right? You said you've been doing this for the last couple years or a few years. Right. Well, you said like since what, like 2020?
Yeah, I would say that's probably accurate. Yeah.
So it's not that long. So how has that journey been with your family and your friends and putting yourself out there?
My spiritual friends love it. They ask me for readings, and I'm happy to oblige or give impressions of XYZ thing. What is your intuition telling you? My, what I like to call muggle friends, the ones that are not in the spiritual realm, sometimes give me the glassy-eyed stares when I start talking about it, and then I just change the subject because it's not worth confusing them, and then we just talk, because there's many other things to talk about in this world, right? So, right. But they accept it. They don't make fun of me or judge me for it, and then some family members, the younger ones especially, think it's great and cool and wonderful. And then the older ones just, you'd have to ask them, but they accept it. They ask a million questions sometimes, sometimes the same ones over and over. But again, like we were starting with.
That's their,
right.
They are curious about it.
They are curious, yes. Yep. So I just answer them and move on. But I have not had any family members reject me because of what I do, so that's a blessing.
Right. Now tell me about your mediumship. I'm curious about your mediumship. How do you access all of that? Is it...
So everybody can do mediumship. It's I'm not, I'm so gifted. Sometimes mediums will tell you these crazy stories about, I was 3 and there was spirits at my bed. And sure, that definitely could be a thing, because when you're from the ages of 2 to 6, you're in this brainwave state called theta, which is right before you fall asleep or right when you wake up for an adult. And so sure, absolutely those things could have happened with that individual, but that didn't happen to me. I did have pretend friends, so certainly those could have been spirits, but it wasn't spiritual, if that makes sense at the time. Plus my family was raising me very Christian, so that wasn't a thing. And then the pandemic hit, and before the pandemic, I had dabbled in it. There was a couple of classes I was taking here and there in person, and I had picked up on some things in some spiritual circles. But then when the pandemic hit, all the things that were not accessible or easily accessible to me or to anybody else suddenly became at your fingertips.
Right.
So there was a spiritualist church in New Jersey that Janet Nahovec ran, a very famous medium. She's passed now, but now suddenly I can be part of her circle. And then I can also take classes from somebody in Texas, Kay Reynolds, who is connected with Arthur Findlay College in the UK. That's a mediumship college. So all of a sudden these things became accessible, and I just started taking classes, taking mentorships, and learning. And my current mentor, Marie Hess, I adore her. She is fabulous. What I like a lot about her style is that she's not woo-woo. I don't even know if this woman owns a crystal. I'm not sure. She's not, she doesn't identify as anything woo-woo at all, shamanic, witch, whatever. She's just an evidential medium. But she's also an occupational therapist, and she's also a hypnotherapist. And so she took those talents, especially the hypnotherapy, and that would segue her to mediumship, because she was seeing that she was not only was she picking up things when her students hypnotized her, but they were picking up things when they were hypnotized. And so the nice thing about her is that she's very much into Joe Dispenza, quantum physics, and she loves him. Like, she's a groupie of Joe Dispenza. And she teaches you as much as we know, right, the quantum mechanics behind what you're doing. And most of mediumship is about psychology, because we're all getting things. Everybody's getting the silent movies in your head. Everybody's getting the feelings. Everybody is getting the words that pop in your head. It's just about taking all that and combining it into a story. And that's the challenging part, because our cognitive brain, our logical center that makes us human, wants to fill in the blank, wants to finish the story. And so, for example, I had a lady say, well, you're the second medium that said motorcycles, but my brother never drove a motorcycle. So both two mediums, two separate times, we don't know each other, we both got motorcycle. So there's something to that, right? So what I was seeing was a picture of a parked motorcycle. But my brain went to, he drove a motorcycle. Yes. But it wasn't that he drove a motorcycle. It was a family joke about motorcycles. I wouldn't have known that. So it's about weeding through that.
Right.
And another story would be when I did an exercise, we had to tell the story of person with said thing. And the sitter said, tell me about my grandfather and the pie. Oh, I gave her all sorts of evidence. I told her about how everybody was crazy about him and that he would make the pies. Even when he was in the nursing home, he tried to cook the pies and gave the pies away and da-da-da-da-da. I could not get what kind of pie for the life of me. This is 10 minutes later. I kept saying apple, berry, apple, berry. And so the reading was done. I said, what kind of pie was this?
Right.
Lemon meringue. My brain does not go to lemon meringue. When I think of pie, it goes to apple pie.
But everything else that you gave her was accurate.
Correct. So that's what I mean by bias. Our brains, our own brains get in the way. And Marie says it's the only job where you have to put your conscious mind on a shelf.
And so that's where you're practicing meditation and clearing the mind. Yeah, and that is a skill. You have to practice that.
So
you have to stop the monkey mind.
Right. So let's talk about clearing the mind. Dan Harris from Good Morning America.
Yeah.
He had a panic attack on national television, I believe in 2014. And it's on YouTube if you want to.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. And he wrote a book called 10% Happier. And he says, people talk about clearing your mind. The only way you're going to clear your mind is if you're dead, sorry to hear that, or you're enlightened, congratulations.
Right, exactly, yes, that's exactly what he says.
Right, so you're not going to clear your mind. That is such a misconception, because our mind is designed to solve problems all day, all night, in our dreams. That's what it's trying to do, to
and
solve.
Keep us safe. Right.
Yep. Exactly. So, yes. Quieter, have the mind be quieter? Yes, absolutely, but it's never going to be completely quiet.
Right. And your brain is only going to give you what it knows.
Exactly, yes. If you've never seen, that's why they like mediums to travel or do different activities. I need to brush up on my dog breeds, because I never know what to say to people. You know, I say this dog. So the more you know, the better you can tell the story. Right. Absolutely. Because they're taking, spirit is literally taking from your subconscious brain.
Right.
That's how they're putting the story together.
So how do you see things? Do you see it visually? Do you hear it?
So it's like a dream. If you can think about what it looks like when you dream. Although I have a friend who sees clear as day movies in her head. So everybody's a little different, but mine is more like a dream. So it's fuzzier. It's a little fuzzy. But everybody has this. People go, well, that's my imagination. No. If you sit here and I say, okay, Amy, there's a horse and it's white and there's a prince and he's coming down and he gets off his horse and then he sees the princess and he greets her. Well, that you just had an imaginative moment. Right. You imagined that in your head. But things that just pop in randomly are spirit talking to you. So that's the difference. So everybody gets that. As far as hearing, that's the other misconception. People think you hear it with your ears. Now, has there been times where I heard it with my ear? Yes, it's rare. Especially if you're in that theta brainwave state. Everybody can say that time they heard their name called when they were half asleep. That's very common.
Yep.
But what I'm talking about is like a sentence will pop in my head, or a word will pop in my head. Yes. And that's mediumship. And then the feelings are more personality, like clairsentience, like you feel their personality. Like somebody with ADHD, I might start feeling more scattered all of a sudden. Or if they talked faster, I might feel like I need to talk a little bit faster. If they had an illness, I might feel the pain of that illness. Not that intensely, right? They don't want you to buckle over and pass out, right, but they want to give you a little bit of a taste of it so you can identify what they're trying to communicate. So, yeah, it's a full body experience with mediumship.
So, do you see spirits, other people's family members, or do you?
In my mind's eye, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Not the only time I've seen a physical apparition was at a restaurant in Connecticut. Yeah.
What restaurant?
Abigail.
Oh my God, I've been there, and
it's known to be haunted.
It was too busy.
It's not like I'm not telling anybody. Right. Something new.
I know exactly where that is, and I've been there, and I actually talked to the staff. Because I was like, hey, do you? And they definitely,
yes,
they definitely get stuff there. Right. But it was very, very busy, and I couldn't get a hit.
So I went there with two curious Muggle friends. They wanted to feel it too, and we were just sitting there having a good time. One of them had a birthday, and we're chatting along. And I had caught some stuff, but I didn't really talk about it much. And then I had to go to the bathroom, so the three of us go in the bathroom, and my focus was I gotta pee. I'm not thinking about anything else.
Were you on the second floor?
First floor.
Okay.
And so I'm going in the bathroom, and I'm in the stall, and the other two ladies are in their stalls, and then I hear one of my friends go, Michelle, did you feel somebody when you came in the bathroom? And I said, no, but I saw somebody. And the other girl goes, I didn't see or feel anybody. So I saw it. She felt it. There was a woman in the bathroom. And then come to find out, other people have experienced that too.
She frequents around the bathroom. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very quick. Corner of my eye. Because again, I wasn't focused on her. I was focused
going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I got something to do.
Yes. Yeah. And my mentor on the ghost team, Paul Rice, will often encounter spirits in the men's room. That's I guess there's something about the copper piping is a thing.
And water.
And water, sure.
Yep. Wow.
So yeah. So to give a little plug to the ghost team.
Yes, shown. Yes.
Spirit Healers of New England. Terrific. We're always looking for new members. Mm-hmm. And it's a place that I feel very comfortable with, helping spirits move on. So luckily, this is not every spirit problem. This is a very minority amount of spirits. This is a very small amount. And sometimes spirits get confused. Sometimes they are fearful of going to the light, mostly because they're Catholic.
Right.
I sinned, I'm going to go to hell, which there's no such thing as hell.
I'm going to be judged.
Right. Sometimes they are held back or they're holding themselves back because they're trying to protect family members that are left behind for some reason. Yep. So there's a variety of reasons. And we like to help others help them go to the light. And then the family, the living family members in the house are affected by that because the spirits are energy and they're draining the energy. They may be more tired. I don't want to make it sound dark. I don't mean to make it sound like, oh my God, what do you mean they're draining their energy? They may just be more exhausted than normal, more apathetic than normal. So yeah, it's not, I don't want your audience to think it's, The Exorcist.
Right.
Oh my God. It's not like that at all. People are living their lives, but they hear things, they feel things in the house that are not right. And so we're there to help them.
So do you ever have families that they want you to basically validate that there's something in the house, but then they're like, we're okay with it. We don't want them to go.
That's happened before, yes.
Because they have an attachment. They become attached to this.
Right.
It could be grandma, or...
Right. But we want to make sure that the spirits understand that it's a revolving door. So it's not, if they go to heaven, they have to stay there. No, they can come visit anytime they want. So we want the spirits to know that that they can go back and forth. They don't have to stay there 24/7. That's really unnecessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. I
Yeah.
think that makes people feel okay with that, right?
And
Because you're giving
right.
your actually your spirit, your soul has free will just like
Yes.
we do.
Yes.
But they
right.
may not recognize that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And people use that term earthbound.
Mm-hmm.
There's no spirits here that are chained to the earth. They are earthbound because they choose to be earthbound. They are held back for different reasons, sure, but just like a person, you still have free will. You can still go to the light. You're not stuck here.
Right.
Because that scares people too. What do you mean earthbound? Oh my God, Earth's a prison now?
Right.
They can't, no. It's their choosing to stay here for different reasons.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, I had a great experience with Joan. Was it last weekend?
I think
or the
it
weekend
was.
before? I can't remember. We went to Mystic, and it was my first experience with you guys, and it was so fun, and you guys were so welcoming.
Yes.
It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
really cool.
It was fun. Yeah. We really enjoyed that spot because Amy actually found the spot, and it was haunted. It was really haunted.
Yeah.
And we do those kind of things to help the spirits, but we also do them for fun. It's fun to go to a cemetery and be ourselves. We have to be careful at the newer ones.
Yes.
We don't want to upset people. People are grieving.
Right.
We're respectful of that. We're not gonna
100%.
We're not out there to hurt people. But if it's an older cemetery where nobody visits it anymore, we get to rub our hands together and get to work, and that's where we really shine.
And there's tons of old cemeteries here in New England. And a lot of them are not even like, they're just like off in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to some really cool ones. We'll have to talk about that. Like
absolutely.
Some of the ones that you've been to and I've been to, and it's really, really, really interesting.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But I had a great time.
Yeah, good. We all had a good time, and we got orbs on camera, so it was it was a win-win-win.
Yeah. So
orbs are just spirits that are hanging out, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're, oh my God, scary and terrible. No, they were beautiful and light and protecting that crypt.
Right.
I mean, like I said in the video, I was saying to Paul, I feel like I go in there and take a nap. It was that beautiful energy that drew me in, and he felt the same way.
Yeah, you have a video up, so I'll link that video to this video, and you guys can watch it. But it was really, really cool, and it's like we were laughing before, talking about like the difference between dust. Like you can tell the difference between dust that's coming across your camera and an orb
or a bug.
Yeah, you can totally tell the difference
because they're squiggly. There's no pattern to them.
Right.
Yeah,
so it was really cool, and I got some too, so that was kind of neat. So yeah, it was really, really great. So yeah. So what else do you want to talk about? We're just going on and on and on here. I think we could go on all day.
I don't know, probably.
But we're not. We won't do that. I think that Michelle, I should have you come back, and let's pick a topic to really dig deep.
Sure.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Because I think I have a lot to learn. I'm really curious about like your coven work and all of your trainings. I want to read your book. I haven't had a chance to do that. So
absolutely. Yeah. I just love talking about what I do because it's my passion. Everybody needs to have a passion, and these are my passions.
Right. And it's you're doing something that is good for the planet, the world, right?
Yeah.
You're serving.
Yeah.
You're serving the best way that you know how, right?
Right. Which is a win-win because when you do Reiki, you feel that win-win because you're helping others, but you're also helping yourself.
Yep. I'm a Reiki master too.
Yeah. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get that high. I remember doing a whole day at the fair years ago at the Holistic Center, and coming out of the room and somebody saying to me, wow, your aura is glowing. Because I was doing Reiki all day long. You get that high, and mediumship too. you get the high from mediumship. It takes me a while to ground after mediumship because you're so up here that it's you're feeling the love energy of people, the connection. If I don't feel that love energy, it's harder to do the reading. But when I feel that, like say like a mother and a child, like it's better than a hot fudge sundae.
Oh, I don't know about that.
It's better than sex. It really, like, it's just the only thing I can compare it to for people who don't do mediumship regularly, if you go in deep into meditation and you feel like you're in the void, that you could also feel that universal love. So there's another way to get it, but it's there and it's intense. It's intense and it feels so good.
And just like you said, it's available to everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
Everyone just needs a little bit of training.
Right, and to read your own loved ones is tough.
Yes,
because your bias is going to get in the way, right? Mm-hmm. So that's although I can pretty much read my loved ones now, but you start talking yourself out of it,
right?
And so the best way to do it is to say to a friend, "Hey, you got a picture of your grandma I can tap into?" Pictures are a great way to start.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, because they're the eyes of the soul. You know, it's sad because most times mediumship and mediums and witches don't blend.
Why?
I'm not exactly sure on that. I think because mediums have this idea of everything is love and light. I'm not saying every medium, but a lot of mediums have this idea of everything is love and light, and witches are more real and grounded and know that, there's some tough crap out there. It's not all. So I think that's the problem where they don't although we do have another medium in our coven and she's fabulous as well. So there are witches that are mediums. But like as far as the two worlds go, it's hard to merge them.
I think that we need to talk about that in the next interview is kind of the darker side, because I know that, like you said, a lot of people are, it's love and light, blah 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 blah, but people are curious about that other side.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need some good real information on that.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's trickster energy out there for sure.
Yes.
Do I believe in pitchforks and devils? And no, that's just man-made crap. Is what that is. No, it's more about like fey energy, trickster energy, thought forms, like negative thought forms hanging out in somebody's house. Absolutely. Rerun energy of something that was terrible that's hanging out in your house. That's another thing that could happen. Or in a public setting.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
I think that's the next one.
Okay.
That's the next one.
All right, sure.
So, all right. Well, I think this was so fun.
Yes.
And I hope it recorded. It looks like it's still going. So that's great. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you
guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.